it's Jennifer. Today is Thursday, January 31st, and it's raining outside. We had some thunder and lightning earlier, so I'm have to do indoor gardening today. Here is an update on my seedlings that I started at the beginning of the month. Succession planting, bok choy, and no, it's not bok choy. It's Napa cabbage and bok choy. It is bok choy, and I believe there's also kylon in here. Are almost ready to go. I didn't put them out because it's supposed to be storming today, and I wasn't sure how windy it was going to be. But I'll go ahead and put these out tomorrow, so they can get Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's rain. And then this is the purple bok choy, the new one introduced by Baker Creek, and it's lovely. Here's how it looks. The lovage has started coming up. And then here are some of my tomatoes and the jelly melon. The jelly melon's ready to go outside. And my peppers, not such a good germination rate on them. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe I just need to give some of them more time. But about half of them have germinated. And then there are some lagging tomatoes back here. So what I'm going to do today is thin these out. So some of these, both tomato seeds, sprouted. And in the years past, I've kept the 2 sprouts, but I found that for some plants, it just gets unwieldy, and then I end up with 2 stringy plants instead of 1 strong tomato plant. So this time I'm going to go ahead and take it down to 1 plant each. And when doing this, it's important not to pull the plant out of the seed pellet. What you need to do is get a sharp pair of scissors and then cut the one that you want to get rid of. So in this case, I go for the one that has the thickest stem. So I will go ahead and cut this one. And I'll go ahead and do that for the rest of my tomato plants. So tonight I'm planting my tomatoes, the second round. I decided this year, instead of going with the mini tomatoes, to go ahead and try the small size tomatoes. So these are tomato plants that grow between 2 to 4 feet, and to see which ones taste good and which ones grow best in my yard. I grew some of these last year and had no success because I started them, I believe, in either July or August, and the weather was just too hot for the seedlings, and they didn't survive. So this year, I'm going to plant these all in the containers on the right side of my yard. And those are I think it's like a 32-inch tub, and then 4 27-inch tubs. So I'll go ahead and plant these tomatoes in those tubs, 1 tomato plant each. So last year I had great success with the Patio Princess hybrid. So this basically turned out to be about 2 feet tall. It delivered maybe a dozen tomatoes per plant, and the tomatoes taste like really good grocery store tomatoes. So, you know, they're not excellent tomatoes, but in a pinch, they're good enough. This is a new one that's new one to me, Inca Jewels, and this is a Roma type tomato. I tried this one last year, but again, the problem I had was it was too late in the season when I started it, and I didn't have the right kind of container, so it just didn't really grow. This one I tried last year, and too late again. This is the Tasmanian chocolate. And this one I tried last year also, and I think I just put it in the wrong place, but this is the Little Bites cherry. So I'll go ahead, give all these a chance, and we'll see how they grow and how they taste. And now for the tomatoes that I'm going to plant in my main garden. So this year I've pared down the varieties greatly. Last year I grew entirely too many tomatoes and was inundated with them, and now I have gallons and gallons of sauce. I think about 7 or 8 gallons of sauce that we have to eat before this fall, so around September time area. So this year I'm not going to plant any sauce tomatoes because I just don't need any more sauce. So starting out, this was a tomato that I grew last year that was delicious, but I grew it in a bed that doesn't get a lot of sun, so the plant wasn't very big, and I only got 2 tomatoes off of it. So I'm going to try a different planter this year and see if I can get more of these tomatoes. These are very good. They're slightly sweet. They're also, I guess people would call it kind of watery, but it's something that I like. It makes it taste to me like a clean flavor. So I'm excited about these. Hopefully I can get some more of them because I really like to eat these sliced and on salad. This is a new one to me, the Chadwick cherry. So I'll give this a try. I always like to try cherry tomatoes because either they're sweet or they're disgusting. There seems to be no in between. So we'll see how these go. This one I've always wanted to grow, and I got these seeds too late in the year last year. So the plant that I grew didn't grow well. I didn't get any tomatoes off of it, and it burnt up in the summer sun. So hopefully this year I can get some better plants and hopefully get a tomato that I can taste. This one is a new one to me. It's an orange tomato. I'm interested in this creamy texture. So I want to know what they mean by that with a tomato, because that sounds like it's mushy, but we'll see. And this is seeds for the Momotaro. So last year I got Momotaros as little plants from the local nursery. I also got Reka, and both of these tomatoes are excellent. I highly recommend them. I don't know where you can get Reka seeds or whether it just goes by another name, but I do intend to go get a couple of Reka plants if the nursery has some this year. But anyhow, Momotaro, I highly recommend this one's a very good tomato. And then the Atlas. So this tomato I planted late in the season last year, and I did actually get tomatoes off of them. But it also seemed to be a favorite of the birds and the bugs and everything else out in my yard. So I only got 1 tomato that I could eat. Also it has a cracking problem. So the bugs actually got inside the tomatoes and I just could not eat them. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to plant it in a different part of the yard and see if I can avoid the cracking and also avoid the bugs. So I think maybe if I actually plant it in a bed instead of a container, I might get better results. But either way, this tomato just kind of spreads out everywhere, and it has these big, huge tomatoes everywhere. And they claim it doesn't need support, but the tomatoes are so big and heavy that they basically just take the plant down. So maybe I can figure out some way to get tomatoes off this plant while not having it self-destruct. This is Vintage Wine. Again, another tomato that I grew too late in the season, so I got nothing off of it. So I'll give it another try. The Old Fashioned Red. This one I really like. It's a really good, tasty tomato. Nice size, perfect for sandwiches, perfect for hamburgers too. It grows really well in my yard, and I'm happy again to grow it. So good Old Fashioned Red. I got this from Tomato Fest. I highly recommend this variety. Anna's Russian. So I liked these last year too. It's another one of those tomatoes that's slightly sweet and kind of fresh and clean tasting. A little bit, just a tiny hint of sour. It was just great eating them off the plant. Also putting them in salads. I really enjoyed this tomato. I was surprised. And then my favorite, good old bush steak. So I usually plant 3 or 4 of these a year. because this seems to be the tomato that most people, I guess, when I give them tomatoes, prefer. So it's just, you know, the perfect looking beef steak. The taste is really good. It also makes decent sauce. So this is the one that, okay, if you're gonna like grow one tomato in your yard, this is the one I would recommend. It only gets to about 3 feet tall. Each plant puts out about a dozen tomatoes. And if you have a long growing season, you can do like 2 or 3 succession plantings of these tomatoes. So again, this is the bush steak hybrid. I highly recommend this one. Along with the tomatoes, I'm also starting some other warm weather crops. So I have the Garden Sweet burpless hybrid cucumber, the yellow crookneck squash, which is a favorite of my parents, the Lebanese white bush marrow. I think this may have been the thing that I confused last year for an Odessa squash. So all you people out there that send comments saying that wasn't Odessa, then it might have been that I confused the tags on the plants and it was actually this one instead. I'm also trying the Armenian cucumber, something my doctor recommended as a nice mellow cucumber. So we'll see how that goes. Here I've got the butternut squash. I really love this. We've had butternut squash a few times this year. It's really good. The Table Queen acorn squash. I really like this squash as well. The Hearts of Gold, what the heck is this thing? Cantaloupe. I really like cantaloupe a lot. Hopefully this one's not skunky tasting. So I'm always looking for a cantaloupe that doesn't taste skunky. So we'll see how this one goes. The Isabella melon. I like this one from last year. It didn't taste very skunky. And then this one right here is really hard for me to grow, but it is my favorite of the melons. And this is really sweet, tastes like honey, and it's not skunky at all. If you can grow this, I recommend it, but I don't know why I have such a hard time with it. Maybe I'm just putting it in the wrong place in my yard. Maybe I need to put it someplace sunnier. But I'll give it a try again. Hopefully I can get a melon or two. And here are they all planted out and labeled. So I'll go ahead, put these on the heat pad, get them to sprout, and go from there. So hopefully these will be ready to put in the ground either early March or mid-March, and hopefully by then we're done with any chance of frost. We usually don't have frost. Maybe we have frost like 1 or 2 days of the year in February. And when I say frost, I mean it gets down to like 28 degrees, maybe. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I'm not planting everything too early.